a picture is worth 1,000 words. So pictures are so important for us since the very early beginning of the mankind. And a picture like this has a meaning, it sends a message, it can be interpreted by the people depending on the context, depending on the thought, on the experience of the people, on the mood of the people. But not long ago, the websites we developed were mainly focused on text messages, maybe enriched a little bit by nice tiny pictures, but the main focus of the websites in the past was text message. That's why in the past we didn't have to manage that much assets, much fewer assets than today, and most of the assets were stored in different variants for reasons of different views, different channels, and different devices. And the tools themselves supported, frankly spoken, the management of the assets in a very lousy way, right? So, and you had different tools, maybe one for managing your digital assets for your website, and you had another tool for managing the assets for your print media. And at the end, what is new today? Today, we are flooded, our systems are flooded by millions of assets, which requires a much smarter management of the assets. And the tools are fused. That means today we want to have one tool managing all kinds of assets independent from any channel. And also very important, the people managing the assets don't want to be annoyed by the tools. They want to be supported by the tools, and maybe they even want to have fun by working with the asset management, right? So today, in this session together with you, we want to discuss what is asset management about today? What did it mean to Siemens when they started the project? What was the challenge? What was the answer? What is our solution? And of course also, where is the journey going to? But before we come to the point, we want to understand who you are. So that's why I just want to raise a very simple question. No worries, it doesn't hurt. The basic assumption behind this question is just that we have two groups in this room. I know this assumption is not right. It's just I need it for reasons of efficiency and for reasons of time, right? So I would like to ask you, raise your hand if you feel affiliated by marketing and communication. This is as expected, right? Okay, many thanks. And now the other way around. Please raise your hand if you feel affiliated by technology. Also as expected. Many thanks. So I think we are well prepared for this audience, right? Okay, so now that we know you a bit better, we want to introduce ourselves briefly. Let me get started. This young man, not you, Andre, the other one. This young man over there, this is Thomas. Thomas is a solution architect for a lot of years, and the reason why he's on stage today is that he was the architect in charge for developing and sizing the asset solution we have in place today for Siemens. He truly is an expert for digital asset management. I think you focused on asset management maybe the last 3-4 years. So if you have any kinds of questions, no matter if it's with regards to technology or conceptual stuff, this is the man to talk to.
Thanks, Sven. It would be great if you could switch the slide. So that they can
I'm so sorry. Forgot
here.
to press.
Yeah. With us today is Andre Graf, Vice President Software and Technology at Siemens. But besides of those titles, he became a great partner of us, who put a lot of trust in us during the last years, gave us a lot of flexibility to try something new, build something great. Without that, we would not be here today.
Thanks, Thomas. So yeah, and I want to introduce Sven, who is like the moderator and leads us through this whole presentation today. A few words about Sven. Actually, I met him like 2 years ago when I joined my new function. And then I met Sven, and I have to say a few words like, I mean, I've thought like, okay, I explained him what I mean with partnership. partnership means trust, and I really trusted him. So once he came to me and said, oh, the project team is not working, and I kind of trusted him that he means what he's saying. And then I think we decided together to change the team, came to Dresden, met him in person, and then we had a couple of beers together. That's the bad thing with him. To be honest, don't do this. No. But yeah, that's how we met each other, right? I think one of the first projects we made together and we kicked off, was 2 years ago. And actually, Siemens is huge. I think many of you know where I'm talking about. Just a few numbers I want to start with. We have if you see the assets which are digital, more and more digital than they seem to be in this picture within Siemens, I mean, we are not that old-fashioned as it looks like, actually. But when I joined, it was really, we had 7 to 10 systems where we maintained videos, pictures, text snippets, which we also call assets, actually. And I joined this department and said, hey, what are you doing there? Then the really great idea was existing, hey, let's just set up a new one, a central one. And then I have seen the numbers, 720 terabytes of assets. And we talk about 450,000 pictures we have to maintain during a year several times. So far, I mean, bigger companies know these kind of numbers. This wouldn't hurt us, I would say, but imagine a world you have 30 business areas. So every business member wants to maintain special. Because imagine if you have a software company inside of Siemens, and they do great stuff. They're special. Like all the technology guys hey, we are special, right? Then you have the other guys around with the trains. You may have heard of the story with we build trains still, like the ICE, as you know. And these guys, special. I mean, these pictures are special. So everyone needs his own system, own process, and all that kind of weird stuff. And the marketing guys here know what I'm talking about, right? Because I'm special. I've made the best picture. What I've learned is actually, so we have 30 rooms like this. No, we had, actually, because we did this project. But the funny story with it is the businesses do not do their job by their own. We have agencies, or we had agencies involved, huge number of it. I want to tell you one story about one process which really scared me, where I said, okay, now I understand why we have to clean up. So we had one process where we learned that an agency was ordered by Siemens to maintain or to create a picture, and the other agency controlled the picture, and the third agency released it, and then it came back to us. Funny story. It's not really true, but it's almost true. So what I want to say is we had a huge number of agencies involved, which made the whole thing even more complicated. Okay? That's where we come from. And I still look back when I met Thomas the first time, and he explained that that's easy. We do this with this technology thing, and he will explain, probably better than me, with Adobe Words, which I never got at the beginning. And then he said, yeah, we do this centralized. We just move all the assets in, and then it will be great. I want to tell you one more story. When I traveled here today in the morning, where I think it's getting more and more important to manage digital assets right. I saw this picture in the newspapers with this demonstrant from Hong Kong, and there was our minister on the picture, the German one. And this photo is moving around the world immediately, right? Shouldn't have happened for the minister, I think, from a political perspective at least. But I think that shows how important the assets are, right? And it's getting even more important with the things we do in Siemens within comms. So our communication strategy clearly is based on assets. As Sven said, one picture is worth 1,000 words. I mean, who understands a very complex product as we do really have. I mean, we have 1 million products, more than 1 million in these all areas within our businesses. We have 180 countries involved, which they shouldn't really take care of assets. They should just reuse them, right? And as Sven also said, we are not just, we don't have just the Siemens.com platform. I mean, we reuse it in like all the social media channels we maintain. And it's getting more and more important to be able to act on a more personalized way and on a more target-oriented way. I come to this later. That's why we started the project. And actually, I want to really go over now and say, where are we now? Real quick, last sentence from my side, and I hand over. That's the world where I feel we are today. We have it done. We have delivered one digital asset management. It's centralized for all businesses with all these 720 terabytes in. And yeah, and it's really connected to many systems already. But actually, it's just the middle of the journey. Come back later, tell you a little more.
Thanks, Andre. Yeah, and it was unfortunately not that easy, like Andre said. We did it not like that, but as we have started with the project and as we were facing all the challenges that Andre has mentioned, we thought that it is actually time for new paradigms with asset management. Introducing new concepts to make the lives of the content editors and also Siemens much easier. And those concepts, so the main three of them are standalone, centralization, and asset as a service. So just some buzzwords at the moment. So let me quickly explain what that means. So standalone. We have introduced a digital asset management system, a dedicated standalone digital asset management system for digital asset management and digital asset management only, for nothing else. So you have heard the numbers. We have so much assets to be maintained, and the system should not be influenced by any other processes running on that system, like web content management, digital or social media sharing, and things like that. The content editors should not be bothered by information like, okay, is that asset used somewhere? Can I replace it? Can I create a version? Can I update metadata and things like that? The content editors really should focus on asset content management and nothing else. The second thing is centralization. And what we tried to achieve here, and I think we did, is to create a single point of truth, a single source of truth where all the asset content lives at. So that you can rely on the fact that whenever you see an asset rendered in a web page, your corporate net, your press portal, you name it, then you can assume that this asset is delivered by this centralized asset management system. And you can go to that system, you can replace it, you can manage it, you can do whatever you want with that. And we also have established standards with that solution by centralizing the asset management system. We have covered the system with some APIs, which means that all systems within the Siemens ecosystem can rely on the fact that we have these APIs available to deliver, to retrieve those asset content, and also to manage those asset content. So actually, each and every Siemens employee is able to log into the system, and I think we have more than 300,000 or so. They are able to log into the system and start immediately uploading asset content, activate it, and it is available for each and every system within Siemens. So of course they have to connect to that, and that's why we have established those standards, which should cover all the needs of all other tools within the Siemens digital ecosystem. And the third thing is asset as a service, because one challenge is, of course, to establish such a system. But the other challenge is to keep such a system alive. If no one wants to participate or to contribute in that system, then it will die during the time. So it means that we kept the hurdles as low as possible so that users, other stakeholders, other tools in the ecosystem can contribute to that system. As I said, they can log in, each and every one can log in, can upload their asset content, they can retrieve it from there again. And also the integration with their tools is relatively easy by all the standards that I have mentioned already. Yeah, and by doing that, we have established a real strategic content delivery entity in a centralized manner of the Siemens digital ecosystem. So now for the few technical guys here, let's do a short sidestep in the technical world, just to explain how we got that solved from an infrastructural and technical point of view. So very important to mention is everything, really everything is hosted in the cloud, and we use the Amazon Web Services for that. So AWS cloud is what we use for any kind of servers, storage, memory, whatever you can imagine to get such a system running. Why? It's comparable cheap compared to what we did in the past. So in the past we bought real servers, they were located in a hosting center and you had to pay for it, you had to operate it, and today it's so easy by just doing a click to increase the number of storage and memory and things like that. And that was really a pain. And AWS gives us so much flexibility to host and operate the servers and systems. For the digital asset management itself, we use the Adobe Experience Manager, AEM Assets in particular, which is, from my point of view, the best tool, the best AEM asset management tool on the market that I came across until now, because it offers us so many out-of-the-box functionalities. It supports the most common metadata schemas like IPTC, Dublin Core, XMP, and so on. It is great to handle renditions. It supports more or less each and every file format, which allows us to even share a PSD file in a social media post, for example. So things that AEM supports us here to really handle digital assets in a great way. And we also use these AEM service for the delivery for all these consumers that we already have. So the corporate net, Siemens.com, the press portal, they all get their assets delivered from AEM. Then we have a search system in place, which is Solar. It's an open source tool that we use as a search engine here, where we push all the asset metadata into. So everything that users could search for, like title, description, tags, keywords. And on top of that, we built a single page application based on Vue.js, which is a lightweight front-end JavaScript framework, so lightweight compared to things like Angular, which is fun to work with. It supports component-driven development, which really supports reusability for other things. And yeah, this is our tech stack. And just to give you a short impression of how this looks like, this is a front end, the single page application that I have mentioned, where users, Siemens employees, can come to, type in what they're searching for, they find what they need, and that was one of the biggest challenges, that users were not able to find something. Whoever is interested in that can come afterwards. And who wants to have a bit more hands-on, please approach us. We can have a quick walkthrough and talk about that and have a more detailed look into that. And having that said, there is actually only one question left, and this is, yeah, what's next?
Sounds everything really cool, right? I mean, I see you enthusiasm, right? I see you want to use it, right? No, what's next? I mean, we reached a lot, that's true. Our guys are really happy in the business. We get great feedback. We save a lot of money. We save a bigger seven-digit number per year just to operate the system. And what I really forgot as a challenge, thanks Thomas to remind me on that one, still remember first week or so, I think I got every day an email. System is down or is slow or the authors can't do this or that or whatever. I don't get these emails anymore. By the way, my inbox is kind of empty now. But what's now? What's coming up now? Yeah, I think we have a good idea, hopefully, where we work on. We call this idea right now as fluid web. And we want to be, in our web presence and social presence, we want to act more, now for the technology guys, really more target-oriented and data-driven. That's the main thing. So meaning, whenever you come to our website and we know the guy, then we should be better in showing them him or her the right content. And believe me or not, everything is dependent on this tool here, which this guy, I trust him still. I still trust him about this Adobe thing. Trust me, it's really heavy work for our authors to tag our assets. It's a huge effort. We pay a lot of money for that. We have like thousands of users in Siemens who are maintaining the assets and improving the metadata and tag the asset right, that it's getting found like at the end of the day. That this idea of fluid web, meaning the target audience, for example, in a country like China, comes to the website, they get the assets, the videos, and the text snippets they want to see right now. Sounds like a little bit scary, and sometimes I get the question, is it just a personalized website? No, it's not, because I mean, the marketing friends here know it's kind of heavy in right now with data privacy to get the user's data, right? So we have kind of like cool approaches. I trust these architects again to deliver a target-oriented experience. It's not the topic for today, but believe me, the first step for me clearly is we must deliver next level of this asset management. How are we doing this? Actually, I have no idea. No, just kidding. I think I know what we do, but explaining, I think Thomas is the better one for that.
Yeah, indeed, it's a challenge to make sure that the right content is delivered to the right person at the right moment. But we have a lot of functionalities, a lot of tools available. The challenge, or actually for us, no, I start out. I have a good friend of mine told me, we have all the tools, but it's always up to our creativity. We have to know what we want to do with that. And this is the same challenge that we are facing now at the moment. We have this huge amount of asset content, but we also have the ability to do something cool in a personalized manner to deliver the right content. And key fact is, as Andre mentioned already, the metadata needs to be maintained properly. And a tool cannot find something if it does not have something it could search for. So I am talking about keywords, tags, titles. So these are the key informations that need to be available for each asset. So that a search engine like the one that I have talked about is able to propose or to deliver the content at the right time. And this is where artificial intelligence comes into the game, and also machine learning, of course. So we will introduce, that's what we are currently working on, AI-based tool to get keywords, a taxonomy automatically assigned to each asset. During the processing, you upload an asset into the system. It is processed by an AI engine to get a certain set of keywords, which could then be trained to get a domain, Siemens domain speak model in place to make sure that over the time the way how precise those tags are assigned to an asset becomes better and better over time. So that's what we will introduce, which is for now pretty easy. Get the tags assigned automatically by a machine that could be then sent into the search engine. And also natural language description of assets, also quite important that we thought about. So users tend to phrase sentences to search for something. We know it from Google. We do not search only for keywords, but also we use sentences to search for something. If you just just search by keywords, you get, by the amount of assets that we have at the moment, maybe 20,000 results. And you type another keyword and you get 10,000, and maybe 5,000, but still too much. But if you would have a proper natural language description that we can use to compare it during the search routine, then we can provide less information, but much more relevant. This is also something that AI could support us here to get real proper description of asset content. We also work with AWS Personalized to leverage user data behavior to personalize or to re-rank search results. Because we know the user has visited the Siemens.com webpage, was interested in article XYZ, and afterwards we provide him a page where a search operation is happening in the background, and we can modify, or AWS Personalized is able, for example, to modify those search results to provide the more relevant results on top for that user, just based on his user behavior. So this is what we are working on. And of course, for the future, we also try or will drive the asset as a service functionality to keep that system alive and to bring more and more tools into that platform to get more and more relevant content for all the users in the entire ecosystem that could be leveraged for each and every visitor of our pages, right?
Maybe one last thing, what's next? Since we know that social media is getting more and more important, we kind of use new technologies also in that area to publish content out into social media channels. I think that's worth mentioning. So this automatic tagging, as he calls it, is getting even more important because, I mean, managing all these assets for the increasing number of channels is getting more and more important. So that's why I think the picture where we are right now with connection to the central system is, I mean, this getting more and more complex. So I think it's getting, I just want to point out that's really important that we get this AI thing done now. And what I've seen so far, I'm really impressed. Yeah, that's something worth mentioning. We have a real good technology for this language processing thing. Once we have this done, I think then we are really able to make our businesses happy, because that's still a challenge, right? You have one.
Many thanks. So obviously our keynote is over now. The reason why we decided to start with a keynote was that we just wanted to create, or maybe better, to provoke an open discussion atmosphere here. So now it's the time to check if this was a good plan. That means discussion is open now. Feel free to ask any question, to share your opinions, your experiences, talk with us, talk with each other. I would be happy if I see some raising hands. This lady is the first one. Many thanks.
Do all users have the same rights to download pictures and upload pictures for all pictures, or how is it organized?
I think that's a complex question. I give it to you, but I could answer it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I said each and every Siemens employee is able to log into the system and can start immediately to work with. We try to keep our roles and rights concept as simple as possible. There are actually just 3 roles. Okay, 4 roles. One is a reader group, which is actually not in use. We have a contributor group that you will be automatically assigned to once you log into the system, and you can immediately start uploading your asset content. What you are not allowed to do is making those content public. So replicate the content so that it is immediately available. This is what you can request an action for. You can request a workflow to activate the asset, but you are immediately able to work with the system. The third group is the group called managers. Those are the ones that are able to delete content, to replicate content and unpublish content and things like that. And then, of course, we have a very small group of administrators that could do some administrational stuff.
I'd like to add, because I think from a business perspective, It's very easy. You contribute or not, and then you are you are in the other group. You just manage the content, meaning we didn't want to differentiate all the businesses, right? Yeah. Answer the question?
One more in addition, sorry, for that asset as a service thing. We still have in mind that you can, if you want to contribute to come on to contribute to that system, to have your own content on that platform, you can of course decide for yourself that there is a certain group that this is the only one who has access. So, for example, we also have the press informations on that system, and those are sometimes critical information. There's a group, a small group of people who are allowed to use and to replicate those things, and no one else. And if you want to use the system as a service, then you can decide by yourself, something that we have to configure then in this case, of course, to introduce new groups for a certain.
One additional question. If there are any rights on the pictures you have, so how can you manage that not everyone is taking pictures, downloading pictures which have special image rights? Is that restricted somehow?
Thank you. Yeah, that's one of the key features that the Adobe Experience Manager, by the way, provides us here. This is the digital rights management, which is greatly supported in terms of expiry handling. So assets normally have a date when they expire, and they also have license files where all the model information, the photographer information, the digital usage rights are written. And those files are also part of the platform. They will be uploaded into the system as well, besides of the asset, and they will set into relation to each other. You have an asset, and you can relate one or more assets to one single PDF document, Word document, whatever the license file is, to make clear that for this asset, these licenses apply. And then, of course, you can manage metadata to say, okay, at the date XYZ, it is invalid. You get an information. It can be automatically unpublished. So this digital rights thing is supported by AEM out of the box. And we did something as well in the front end that I have shown to give as much as possible information about these license information, so that users are really aware of in which context I can use that asset. And one last thing, we have one main flag that we call web, I think, web asset pool flag. Whenever you mark, a content editor marks such an asset as web, then it is more or less publicly available, and you can use it within the Siemens context. Okay.
That's what I wanted to say. I mean, that's what I wanted to add. I think the web feature is more or less the most important one. Once it's available there, everyone should use it. I think the main idea behind, from a business perspective, is clearly we have this pool of assets, and everyone can use it. And because we have to avoid these, we create the same asset again and again and again. And, okay.
There are some more questions. Sorry, this lady was first.
I was just curious, the Adobe Asset Experience Manager, you had to plug other things on top in order to actually create this system. There isn't tools out there that actually already do this, that have, these different, because you're going to build AI on top now to automatically tag. Like, are there not tools that potentially have more of these functionalities?
Okay, even if I'm not the technical guy, I'm not the architect, I would like to answer this. Actually, we haven't found a tool which was able to deliver that user experience we want to have. I mean, if you see the start screen, it looks like Google, but just for assets within Siemens. And we designed all this around to make it easy to understand what the asset is. I don't know such a system, so that's why we have this. I always call this headless UI on top of this, and I mean the search for sure was kind of necessary from my perspective to be able to really use all the tags around, not just within Adobe, but all the tags around we can find to fütter, I don't know, to feed the search engine, right? Does that answer? So the answer from me is no, there's no tool out.
Would be my answer as well. And just in addition, why we also used, for example, Solar for searching. So this is, of course, something that AEM can do as well. But I always like to say, use the tool what they are made for. AEM is a great content management and asset content management tool, but it's not a search engine. It can do that, but as soon as you have some more advanced requirements regarding search, faceted search, blah, blah, then you will reach some limits with each and every tool. There is no tool that really can do something. And AEM is greatly integrated and has a lot of support for AI services already, but there are also other tools that might do things better, or yeah, and this is something that we always try to evaluate and find out. So.
Yeah.
So if you have this large asset pool where everybody can contribute to, how do you manage like the brand experience, the brand identity in terms from visual content? Is there anybody like controlling that or just selecting it, or is that just a broad variety there?
So in principle, everyone can contribute, but as Thomas mentioned, the managers group, of course, they have a look about, or they review the assets before they go out, in principle. What we tend to do, honestly, is to make it even easier to create assets and just make them available. Because honestly, you can't really govern this with this amount of data. But in principle, the answer is the managers group is thought for that. Okay.
As you combined 7 systems, you merged 7 systems or sources into one. How did you solve the change part in the processes? So because before I was used to find this picture in one place, I have to go to another place. It's totally different. How did you manage to teach the people how to work? This is the first question. So what, because you're now solving it with tagging and search engine to optimize the search part. So this is, I assume it's part of the solution. The second part connected to search, how will you solve the different languages you have within company? Because German, English, so I as a user, I'm used to searching German, for example. Now you tag it only in English, or you will cover main languages?
So Andre, I think maybe the first question can be answered by you because it's about the change.
Sure. Okay. So the change is actually it's happening for 5 years, I would say. So we started this in a very governance-oriented organization, I would say. So in this time when we started the project, the comms function was clearly very centralized, and we had like this. Okay, we can say you have to, right? Did we do this? No, we didn't. Actually, we just built up this system. And I still remember a video we made, or our product owner, actually. I would really have liked Kevin here. He is the product owner, but he is not available. He's on vacation. He made a video, and he selected a lot of feedback out of our beta test phase. It was just incredible. And we've spread this video over the user groups, like more than 1,000 users. Actually, believe me or not, we've just spread the URL and this video, and it was more, that was more from my perspective the change. So it was communication effort for sure, but actually I think we have like these key users in place where we know, hey, if you convince this guy, he will convince others, like this snowball system. I think that's the change answer. One thing to I think language, I'm really very open. That's of course a challenge. I think everyone who knows what's going on in natural language processing, I haven't met anyone, actually, no one so far, which can say, yeah, just use the English version and translate it and it's working in German. No, that's not working. We are still, I think we start in English, where we are really good already, I think. But yeah, we have these challenges with UK English and US English, for example. That's kind of, yeah, that's a big challenge. And there where we really work on is we are running around the world and trying to find more companies supporting us there, to be honest. But I want to give Thomas the chance. Maybe he's better than me or my knowledge.
Yeah, I can just explain it from a technical point of view because, as Andre said, it's really a challenge. So multi-language handling is always a challenge. The front-end itself that I have shown in the screenshot is purely English. We do not have any language switch or something like that. The content that you search for is tagged. So taxonomy is the solution that we choose here to say, okay, this brochure, this PDF, this text snippet, whatever, is in English or German or Spanish, and then it is tagged like that. We try to simplify those processes with an AI engine that can, of course, determine the right language and assign the correct tag automatically to reduce the effort on the content management part. But yeah, the taxonomy is what we used for that, and in the front end you have a filter where you can select one or multiple languages to search for what you're looking for.
You have to answer the question.
Thank you. I have a more operational question. I don't know if I have understand it right. This is your people don't have the obligation to document any kind of assets digitally, or do they have to document it, everything they have in a digital way? And a second question to that, if you have the kind of obligation that the people have to document everything in your system, how you keep oversight, or how do you keep them motivated to make these entries?
Thank you.
I think we do not force others with the digital ecosystem to use it. But as I said at the beginning, we try to keep the hurdles as low as possible to contribute in that system, because they can leverage those standards as we have it in place already by not reinvent the wheel again and again and again, because each and every tool has to take care of asset content, images, videos, documents. They simply have that. As Sven said at the beginning, we are flooded by those asset information daily. So we get per day 4,000 to 6,000 new assets per day, and also replication process 4,000 to 6,000 each and every day, and we have 170 users, concurrent users working at the same time, permanently creating asset content. And the benefit is actually to not invest any effort anymore within your system to get those asset content uploaded in my tool, and to get it managed, and to get it replicated, and to deliver it in an adaptive way for this channel and that channel, and this resolution with this compression. This is what we have here. And for example, a press portal want to edit coffee mug, for example, they actually do not have to take care about that anymore, and just use what is there already. And this should save a lot of money, of course, and we just give them a benefit that they can use. So we do not force it. There's no obligation to do that.
One additional, how is the motivation kept high? Actually, whenever we point out the upcoming feature set, for example, auto-tagged pictures, it just motivates the guys using this system, because what the experience is over the last year, I think since we are live, right? It's a year now. They're just happy that they're able to search and find. That's the first thing. They do find. I mean, that's new. That sounds like too easy, but it's just true. First thing, we motivate them because they find it, the whole stuff. And secondly, we really create great features like these auto-tagging of pictures. And that's kind of the two things which really motivate them. Yeah, and I mean, we really decreased effort already. So we have a real business case behind. Just FYI, in addition, I would say, I have to say, we saved a lot of agency money, which we don't need anymore, because the guys outside find the picture. That's kind of easy. I mean, if you don't spend money to create the same picture 3 times, easy business case. Does that help or?
So I have a question regarding the compliance and legal requirements. So you told us that you have expiry dates and that you have rights management. Have you additional examples what compliance and legal requirements you faced, maybe regarding GDPR or medical devices, some updates or something like that?
Okay, the only thing I know is we are legally compliant. So actually, that's actually not my favorite topic, to be really honest. Hopefully, we don't have a lawyer here inside. You didn't ask that before, right?
For reasons. For
Okay,
reasons.
so,
Yeah.
no, to answer the question, no. I think we did a double check the solution. We have the official go from our legal department. We are constantly checking this topic, to be honest. I mean, so we have our delivery owner, so how we call this internally. This is the guy who kind of works with Thomas and the team. So Roland is constantly checking, do we have new requirements from this point of view? I'm not aware of any issues so far, so sorry. But again, I'm not the lawyer. Maybe we have one and I don't know.
Ah, okay.
I knew it.
No, please don't give him the microphone. Okay, too late.
The first question is on the language. The meta tags wasn't clear to me. Is it in English? You entered the tags in English or any language? In English, okay. And then the search is like in China, it's in English as well. The user is searching in English.
This was indeed, as we have started, not that big requirement. We agreed to say, okay, it is okay to work with English as default language, and we have so-called language-specific titles and descriptions. So whenever we have an asset, a PDF file or something like that, there are 1, 2, 3 fields available where you can type in the actual language for where the asset has been created or for the target group or whatever. And the search tool as such is only in English, and the main thing how we distinguish between language is the taxonomy. That's how we deal with that at the moment.
Question is on APIs. The APIs are coming from Adobe, or is that something you developed yourself? And any examples of how those been deployed, apart from the front end, obviously?
So this is something that we did by ourselves. So Adobe is providing a lot of APIs, but for several reasons here and there, and based on requirements, we decided that this is not sufficient. If you want to have it standalone, centralized, etc., we said that we should work on a custom API that fulfills all the needs of all consumers that we would like to have on the system. And we have introduced an incoming API to be able to push content on a machine-to-machine layer, so to say. We have an outbound API, what we call it. It's self-exploring and self-explaining, where you can simply walk through the content structure and look for content that you use. And we are currently working on an API in front of Solar to provide search functionalities. And that's what we do by ourselves, all based on AWS. You are one of the technical guys, right? No? Okay, then I do not bother you with more details. Are there any third-party integrations? Yeah, within the Siemens ecosystem, we have several tools called Compose, Want to Edit, I Edit, and they all use those. The Press Portal, for example, they use those APIs already to seamlessly integrate. So, for example, the Press Portal is based on Drupal, I think. They have integrated their content management part where they can browse through the content structure, natively integrated in the browser view, where you can drag and drop your asset content. Yeah, that's what we have provided those APIs for. Yeah.
I'd like to add to your language question, because I think that comes up again and again, and it's one of the things, since you are still within what's next thing, imagine this target-oriented web, target-oriented social experience. Yeah, we have to become better there. I mean, now we are able to search for assets in English. We can filter for different other languages like Chinese. Is it for Chinese guys? Probably we are not perfect yet. And I don't care about the businesses right now, if I talk about that now. But to deliver the digital vision we have, it makes sense that we work on better language support than today. As I said before, that's one of the, for me, the biggest challenges we will approach in the next weeks and months. Once we have the first AI features in our life, we will learn. Whenever you use this, these features in different languages, it won't work perfectly. So that's, to be honest, that's the biggest challenge from my perspective.
Yeah, for technical questions. One question is, do you have your DAM connected to a content delivery network somehow to provide the data worldwide? Okay. Maybe you can answer what kind of, or how you set it up. And the second question is also regarding renditions. You mentioned already shortly how you manage that from your central database DAM. Different renditions will be loaded. Yeah.
So CDN is easy. AWS, we use CloudFront, provided by Amazon, which worked great. And recently, just yesterday, I think we have introduced a web application firewall and things like that. So it's really fun to work with. And for the rendition question, we have introduced another API that should fulfill all needs in terms of adaptive image handling for all the tools that might or retrieve our asset content. So it's an API where you as a consumer of an asset can decide by yourself which kind of asset I need. So in terms of size, compression, quality, cropping. So these are the features that we support at the moment, that you can more or less stick together by yourself, because the press portal maybe might need it for the web, for the app, in a high resolution 4K for Retina display, and it can request it in 4K. But on web, we just need it in a smaller resolution. And it can be decided by each and every consumer itself. Yeah. So it's a own developed API? Yeah, indeed.
Hi, I have a question. When starting this project, how did you basically capture the must-have requirements from businesses and markets, or your users, and where to focus on for you when starting to build something like this? This I'm really curious about.
I like the question. I may add something, but I'll let him first.
Finally, a question for me. Many thanks for this. So my role in this project was and is being the Scrum Master and the Program Manager over all the sub-projects. And when we started with the project, actually we didn't really had a proper filled backlog, right? So we just had a system which was not working properly as expected, and there was a vision. We had to become better, right? And then we, it was an agile approach, and we just started by a very small backlog, and we introduced Scrum also to the Siemens department. I think for most of your mates under it was the first time working on Scrum. But at the end, you came up with a really, really great product owner, and then we just, they collected the requirements, they wrote proper user stories, and then we just delivered. So at the end, it was something like 8 months from the first sprint until we went live, right? And this is really a short time if you start without having a proper goal. No, I'm wrong. We had a goal, but we didn't really had detailed requirements in place, right? And this was really agile. And from my perspective, the reason why it worked that well was not only that we had this agile project approach in place, but this agile project approach met an agile Siemens organization, and this was really the basis for the success.
To answer your question, I'm off. Oh, To answer your question from a business perspective, or from a business's perspective, actually we never really collected. That was the product vision, I would say. Build up a central system which is seamlessly integrated into the landscape, into the digital landscape. That's basically the main requirement. That was the goal, from my perspective. That's where we are right now. We don't collect actually anymore. I mean, that's huge effort to talk to. I think Roland has, the delivery owner now, he has a community with 40 people, which I call the key users. And yeah, we keep them informed. But honestly, having one in place, and that's the agile mindset Sven is talking about, having one guy in place who works in assets management for years. I mean, you can always say, I like this better than the other one. That's like, I like black more than blue, right? At the end of the day, you need a good product owner who knows what is really needed and who also sells it, because collecting means discussing which color is better. So we don't do this actually anymore. That's the true answer. So we are really agile and we just trust the product owner. Okay, and my job as this manager actually is, I understand myself as, whenever there comes up this, we need the community who decides about what is really important. Actually, we manage it and say, no, we don't do this. And we go back to the businesses, explain how HR really works. We're still in the process of it, but I think that's the answer to it, right? How we live it.
Does that answer your question? Okay, great.
I have an additional question regarding your business units, products, headquarter campaigns. We have seen this Google search for the assets, yeah. Do you have different entry points? So if somebody says, I'm looking especially, I want to promote for this product, that it is distributed in the whole company, or do we have a headquarter campaign planned and we want to give you the assets worldwide? So do you support this?
Don't think we have a push feature, right? We don't have a push feature like as he mentions it. No, we don't. I think the thing is, tagging is one of the functionalities I think where we support this. What we don't do anymore is, and that's kind of like where we reduced complexity a lot compared to former times. We didn't build some workflow function. No, we have some workflows, but that kind of business process support we kind of tried to reduce. To be honest, because why? Ask 30 businesses, and they do campaigns 30 times different. So, in the businesses they are not satisfied because yeah, I want to choose. When a campaign comes up and we create a video, no, that's not for the campaign. We shouldn't do this. It's just for the pictures, right? Then you come into these nitty-gritty, detailed discussions, and that's what we avoid. We want to. I think the best principle to describe this successful project, from my perspective, is do it HL, keep it simple. Keep the requirements simple. Yeah, sometimes it's really, I mean, filter for campaign pictures, sort by newest first. You have it. That's it. That's how I would explain it. I don't know how Roland explains it. Maybe better than me, but that's how we would support this requirement.
Sure. So if I would be a brand manager in your company, and I would work with some agencies, and I would ask you, why should I not work with my agency directly and use their assets, as pictures, all the stuff? Why should I use your asset management system? How would you answer? So if I have just a small campaign only used locally, and in my opinion, nobody else would use it.
That happens all the time. Pardon?
That's new to me that happens all the time.
Oh, it happens within Siemens, believe me. That's a logical use case, meaning every Siemens department is special, of course. That happens. And how are we answering this? Honestly, that's what I said before. That's the motivation of the users. They find existing assets, which they didn't before. If they wouldn't use it and would connect to others and republish, they would lose one really important business area. That's our countries. So a headquarter function is responsible to create the assets for the products, for the campaigns. And if the campaign should be successful globally, which we should be, right, as a global company, it only works if you just open it to the community, right? So that's the answer we do. So if you don't work with us, sure, I mean, we can't say you have to. If you say it and they have their own system, who should say no, right? If you don't even know it. But the advantage of the system is you find relevant assets. Does that answer the question?
I have a follow-up because I'm not sure whether I understood this question correctly. Siemens is still working with a lot of agencies, right?
Yes.
They are producing content, let's talk about pictures in this case, all over the place. And all of them are going to upload to this system, right?
Yes.
They're not storing their data, maybe they are, but usually they're not storing their data somewhere else.
I mean, how the agency works within the agencies, I don't know. But whenever they come in contact with Siemens, I would say we are, let's say, with 90% or so. I don't know, but 90% of the agencies use assets, of course. Yeah.
So how then is your question with the brand and the agency locally? How does that then? I mean, you are uploading your content and even the agency to the system, right?
This is just experience from our company. It's also a big company, and we had a digital asset management. And I know the local brand managers, they used to work with agencies, yeah, and they didn't use the digital asset management system because they said it's too complicated. We have an additional account to create. We have to upload the pictures additionally here. We won't do that. It makes the process too complicated. It was so easy before. So they didn't accept the digital asset management. So I just wanted to get the experience of Siemens, if they have similar experience and if they have maybe different arguments to convince the brand managers.
I like the question actually because in bigger companies that happens. It's just happening, right? I wouldn't say it doesn't happen anymore. Maybe we don't know a few cases, but really the answer is keep it simple. If the system is simple, if you find something, why shouldn't you not use it, right? One more thing to the branding thing, the guy is gone now. Actually, one of the changes we made during the last year, I would say, is we are very close now with branding. So we have a digital comms department and we have a branding department, and we are really close, meaning whenever a campaign is started, and campaigns always reflect branding, at least a bit. So we try to connect the campaign guys with the digital guy, with the branding guy. So that helps us to know what's going on outside. And therefore, that's a special topic now, but therefore we introduce right now Sprinkler, I don't know if you're familiar with that, as comms automation tool. And that helps us to know what's going on outside, right? So that's kind of an additional answer, which is not really asset management pure, but I think that's helpful to understand how we try to digitalize the whole comms function in Siemens.
Maybe to just add one sentence, I think you cannot force the departments to use the system, at least if you don't have the governance. I think you don't have, right? So
I think officially, I was just thinking it through. Officially, I could be policeman.
Off record.
But believe me, I'm the
later.
worst policeman ever because I just break every rule by myself. So.
But what I wanted to say is actually the strategy behind is make the systems as attractive as possible so that the people use it just because they want to use it. And that's not always easy, right? But this is the strategy behind.
Oh yeah, so that's why I just wanted to bring it up later when Thomas pays me a beer for it. But now I have to use this card now. He introduced me as vice president, whatever technology. I don't care about the title, but one of my function is delivering technology and user experience. So, and I think that's key because we have a smaller team of user experience guys which work for me now, and these guys are for me crucial because these guys define the strategy of an ecosystem and bring technology and user experience in one boat. Because nothing against you, Thomas, but if you just rely on technology folks, as I am, by the way, you have the best tool. I mean, whoever has used SAP before knows where I'm talking about. Great technology, great tool to maintain numbers, right? But have you ever really used it and have had fun with it? No. So keep it simple and make user experience great. That helps us to reduce exactly these use cases and these outsiders, I would call them now. So yeah, I mean that's kind of key, right? So I think we have great user experience guys, right? With Siri and Andre and so in the team. I mean that's crucial.
To make some marketing, so we have been awarded with the user experience by the Adobe Award this year. So I think this says all. So the user experience, the UI we developed for maintaining and for managing the assets is really a nice one. So afterwards, as already mentioned by Thomas, if you like, we can have a deep dive into the topic if you'd be interested.
Give me one sec. If you don't have a question, I'd like to add one more thing on the agile thing. Agile is a word which no one really likes anymore because it's just used too often wrong. And as I said before, one of the key success factors for this project is that you have a team, and I hope you feel it here on stage as well. It's not that Siemens and some other player is working on it, or how we call them, vendor. We've set up a team. Trust me, I haven't been there for a year or so. Probably they don't like me anymore. But I don't care because the team has to work. The team has to decide. I fully trust the team. Whenever this guy gives me a call and says, hey, your guy in the team is just bad.
I never would do.
You would never do, I know. No, he did. No, that's kind of like really the team has to work and has to decide without any management involvement. And I don't know how often I participated in the call. Sometimes I want to do this because I have to know if the guys are working there or just having. I know I have to know how they do their job, but not really because I'm interested in what they do, but rather how they work together. Right? That's kind of my role. How I understand my role. I think this agile mindset makes this thing successful. One thing is management is out of game. Second thing, we have experts in the team. We just laughed about it in the lounge before. I have two guys in my team, we call them architecture twins. And I always tell him, hey, you have definitely twins. Thomas is one of them. And I think that these guys work together if they would work for one company. For them, the project or the product is the company. And that's kind of like crucial and that's a success factor, right? Just wanted to mention it because it came up down there. Anything else? Anyone else? I mean, we spoke a lot, right?
Really, no more questions. So we can come to the end. No reason.
Yeah, thank you very much for the questions, for your attention.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So we will be around here if you have follow-up questions. Our contacts are available in the DMEXCO app, so feel free to come up to us, approach us. So we are happy to answer all your questions. Many thanks for your attention.
Yeah, thanks.
Great.